I've personally done and reviewed thousands of sales calls to enroll high-ticket clients, and today I'm going to share with you the 5 biggest sales mistakes that are costing health experts millions of dollars and what to do instead. Hey guys, welcome back. Uriel King here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals build scalable coaching businesses with heart, and a big piece of helping clients in a higher ticket coaching program is obviously the enrollment conversation. So you're getting people coming from your marketing into booking a discovery call with you, sales call, an enrollment call, whatever you want to call it. But here's the thing, is that you're a health professional, not a sales professional. Yet selling is one of the most important skills you must develop if you have any chance of enrolling people who need your help and growing your business. So here I'm going to walk you through 5 big mistakes that I continually see, and I'm going to show you how to avoid them and what to do instead. So the first big one, obviously, is talking too much and basically explaining instead of asking. So I'll give you an example. I was reviewing a call from one of our clients, and actually this is something I do on a weekly basis with our HBA clients. I was looking at her call, and she's talking to the prospects, and the prospect would answer a question, and then she would answer with a significant amount of acknowledgement. Oh my God, I totally understand what you're saying. You know, that reminds me a lot of when I was your age or when I was younger, and I was like, and like the whole conversation shifted from the prospect to the experts. And that's a really, really big mistake because people don't remember or care about what you say. They care and remember what they say. So when I'm listening to, or if I'm reviewing a call, the first thing I'm looking at is what is the talk time breakdown between the rep or the expert and the prospect. The more the rep or the expert speaks, the better I have an indication that this call is not going to go in a good direction. The more the prospect is speaking, the better off that is. So in order to move away from talking too much, what we have to do is ask questions. And one of the most important things that you can do every single time you have a call is, regardless of how the call goes, you have to review it. I tell my clients, you either get a client or you get clarity. You either earn or you learn. So you have to review every single one of your calls. And if you think that sounds like a lot of work, then what's the alternative? You keep speaking to people and no one enrolls with you? That sucks. So you have to learn from what you're doing well and obviously where you can improve. And if you don't know, then obviously get some coaching and feedback on this stuff because it makes a huge difference. As an example, one of our clients, I was reviewing one of our calls, and then within the first 10 seconds, I'm like, I have a pretty good idea of why your calls are not going that well. She made one little change after we reviewed that call. 3 hours later, she got a pay-in-full client. And this is how important this feedback is in reviewing game tape, just like a pro athlete would. So one of the things you want to do is, if you notice, so you're reviewing your call on Zoom or on the phone, whatever it is, and you're going to notice that you're going to have a certain amount of explaining that you're doing. And what I'd like you to do is, when you think about you explaining or talking about something, I want you to literally take out a notepad, and I want you to write down the question that would elicit the prospect to say what you're saying. I'll just use the example of our business because it's just, top of mind. So if we're asking the question like, hey, what are you currently doing to get clients? And the person says, well, right now, I rely mostly on referrals. Now, what an amateur enrollments coach or sales rep would do, they would then go into talking about why that doesn't make sense. Oh, so you're using a lot of social media, and I'm sure, right? Now watch what I'm doing here, and I'm sure that's probably not working out too well, right? Like, you remind me of a lot of our clients who come in and they're relying on referrals and social media, and it sucks, right? Because you post all this stuff and you put all this time and effort behind your stuff, and no one sees what it is you do, and therefore it's frustrating, and you keep grinding away. Does that sound about right? So I'm the rep explaining that, and the prospect is like, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, so that's like amateur level. Pro level is, so I'll reverse. How are you currently getting clients? Prospect says, I rely mostly on social media to get clients. Pro rep says, got it. And how's that been working out for you? See what I just did there? I just asked the question. Acknowledge, ask. Not acknowledge and explain forever. Acknowledge, ask. Let the client then say, well, I don't know. I mean, I've been putting in all this time. It's a grind, and it's frustrating because all this time I put into creating content, no one sees. I'm going to lean in. No one sees it? Question mark. Yeah, it's just, like, it's like the algorithm is fighting against me, right? And I just don't know what to do. I put in all this time and it's just really frustrating. Hey, I totally understand where you're coming from, and a lot of our clients feel the same way when they come to us. Let me ask you, how long has this been an issue for you? See what I've just done there? All I'm doing is acknowledge, ask. Acknowledge, ask. That's it. So that's the first thing, is stop talking. And I understand that it's hard. This is actually one of the hardest things to do, because when you're an expert, we all want to talk and explain and share our advice. That's not the purpose of the call. The purpose of the call is to help the prospect discover their own issues, so they bring them to surface, because when they speak it, they internalize it. Okay, the second big mistake I see health experts make in their sales conversations is they're the ones selling, not buying. This is huge. I want you to understand this. So let me ask you this. So you're an expert, and let's just say you're helping someone who has acne, okay? This person who has acne, they've tried all sorts of different potions and magic lotions and nothing's worked. They're coming to you, and you're an expert in skin health. Now, just think of that. Like, who has the upper hand here? Like, do they or do you? To answer this question, let me use an example. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, here's a beautiful example of how this works. You've got 5 sharks in the seats. You have a person coming on to pitch them, and the sharks are sitting back like this. Huh, really? That valuation? Tell me more. Who's in control? Who's buying in that scenario? You see, the sharks are buying the prospect. The sharks are not selling themselves to the prospect. The sharks have the thing the prospect wants, which is money, network, experience, etc. So the prospect or the pitcher is coming onto the show, dancing and juggling and pitching their thing. They are selling themselves to the sharks. And you can see in the body language and the facial expressions and the tone of the sharks, skepticism, You gotta really break this down for me so I'm making sense of this. The sharks are not the one jumping over themselves trying to close the deal. Now, there are the occasional pitch where you actually have a lot of the sharks fighting over each other for that one deal because it's so lucrative. In that case, the dynamic changes and the person pitching has like, well, Kevin's giving me 25%. Mark, can you do something better? All of a sudden, the nature of the relationship changes. You want to be the shark in all of your conversations. You are the prize, and the prize never chases. Someone working with you doesn't change your life or your business. It changes theirs. Got that? I don't care how much money you charge, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Them spending money with you is not like, that's a drop in the ocean for like in the grand scheme of things. But for them to work with you changes their life in the most significant way. So therefore, you have the upper hand, and therefore you should always be the one who is buying the client. The client has to sell you on why they would be successful with your help. So here's a great question you can ask at a point of the call, maybe toward the end. You can ask the question, hey, I'm really, really particular about the types of people I work with. I've built this amazing community of very positive, like-minded individuals who are all on this path to achieving this goal. So if I were to invite you into working with us, see what I just did there? If I were to invite you into working with us, what value do you think you would bring to our community? That's a very powerful question. Instead of the prospect being like, well, how are you different from every other expert I've spoken to? You're screwed if you're having conversations like that. So you need to be the one who is buying the prospect, not them buying you. And I'm not like, listen, it's not about ego. Like if someone is like, hey, Yuri, what's the guarantee in working? What am I going to get from working with you? I'm like, dude, okay, let's first and foremost, are you looking for a cheap coach or an experienced expert? If you're looking for an experienced expert who has 20 years of experience, you're going to get everything that comes with that, right? And I can't even tell you what you're going to get from that because you don't even know what you don't even know. All I can tell you is that you're going to grow your business, you're going to grow yourself, and it's going to be the best decision you ever make. Now, I need to be very clear with you. My reputation is on the line if I bring you on, since you have no experience or track record. So please tell me why I should bring you into our community and why you would be our next successful client. See what I've done there? Now, again, the tonality I would use there would not be so challenging. It would be a little bit lighter. But I want to shift the conversation from, hold on. You've not worked with any clients. You have no track record. You have no business. You're trying to get me to sell you on why I would be lucky to bring you on as a client. That's not how this works, dude. You working with me makes no difference to my life. You working with me changes everything for yours. And I'm not being egotistical, I'm just being realistic. So you want to be the buyer, not the seller. The third mistake I see, and this one drives me crazy as a prospect on a call, but also reviewing it, is over-empathizing and mirroring. So this, I think, this is probably caught on from a lot of the Chris Voss stuff, right? So Chris Voss never split the difference. She was an amazing previous hostage negotiator. He's great. Like, he's lent his expertise in the world of sales quite a bit, but I think a lot of people take it way too far. And here's how this looks. Every single time you ask a prospect a question and they respond, you respond with, hey, I totally get that. So it sounds like, and you recap everything they just said. And then you ask the next question, and then a prospect speaks again, and then they stop speaking, and then you empathize and mirror back. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like, and I'm telling you, it drives me crazy, and it drives any cut to the chase type of individual crazy if they're in a conversation like that. That is amateur hour 101. There's a time and place to empathize and mirror, for sure, but not after every single time the person stops speaking. It's ridiculous, okay? So yes, it's very powerful to repeat back what the prospect has said, but not every single time. Your calls will be ridiculously long, you will piss off your prospects, and you lose the opportunity to go deeper. And that's the key, is instead of jumping what I call lily pad to lily pad, which is like this surface level questions and just mirroring back to people, you want to just acknowledge, like, understood. What's that preventing you from doing that you'd rather do? Or what do you think that's holding you back from being able to do in life? Who else suffers by you not being there? Instead of just like regurgitating back, just acknowledge, ask a deeper or clarifying question. So don't over empathize and don't over mirror. It is amateur hour 101. The fourth biggest mistake I see health experts make in their sales calls is buying the bullshit excuses. This is a tough one to identify, but having done, reviewed thousands of sales calls, here's one thing I can tell you. I don't believe anything anyone says. Nothing. Oh yeah, Yuri, I'm totally in. No, you're not. You're not. I'm 99.99% in. No, you're not. You're not. Until you have the credit card and you're giving me the digits, you're not in. And David Ogilvy, and I can't remember this exact quote, he was kind of one of the godfathers of advertising. He talked about, loosely how people lie, their actions don't. I judge people on their actions, not their words and intentions, because I've seen this so many times where someone is like, I'm totally in. I just need like a moment. For what? I just need to like move some money around. No, you don't, because during that time, your little self, your fear-based mind is going to get into your head and say, well, what if this doesn't work? Blah, 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 blah. Or some people are just being overly nice to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So this actually happens quite a bit where it's like, no, I'm totally in. We'll connect again later on today. And then I get some kind of message, on social media saying like, oh yeah, I had a very different experience on the call than what our admissions advisor have reported back to me. And I'm like, wow. So you thought something happened. The prospect through IG DMs sent me a very different message. Where's the truth? And the truth is really somewhere in between. The reality is prospects lie all the time. And prospects will say that salespeople lie all the time. So it's like, who do you believe? The reality is, who knows? All that matters is if all I'm looking for in a conversation is the truth. So if I'm having a conversation with someone, I don't hold anything back. I'm like, honestly, man, I've been doing these calls a million times, okay? You're not gonna hurt my feelings by saying you don't wanna work with me. And quite honestly, if I don't think you're a good fit for me to help you, I'm gonna tell you. And I would appreciate the same from you. So what I don't wanna get to at the end of this conversation is the bullshit, the niceties, the like, oh, this is totally like, I don't wanna live in the maybe land in the middle. That's where most people go to die. I would just love for us to have a very honest conversation where all of our cards are on the table. I'll tell you how it is, you tell me how it is. Is that fair? Cool. So we get to the end of the call, are we gonna do this or not? And the person's like, well, I wanna think about it. Cool. So totally understand you wanna think about it. I mean, obviously a lot of our successful clients have that same thing. What do you think you might be mulling over more than anything else? Again, all I'm trying to get to in objections is the truth. All I'm trying to get to through the whole call is truth. As I said earlier, you're either getting a client or you get clarity. If you get a conversation and then after the conversation is over, they send you an email out of the blue and they tell you they're going a different direction, it gives you no clarity. You have no idea why. And then you're screwed because you can't learn from that and improve future behavior. So I don't buy any excuses. I'm gonna run this by my spouse. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'll give you an example. So we're reviewing a call, one of our clients, and she helps moms or women lose weight around, the menopause age. And this mom was a typical kind of stereotypical mom avatar. 3 kids. It was Christmas time. She had booked a call because she wanted to obviously lose weight once and for all. She'd, done some stuff in the past. And when push came to shove, there was a follow-up call booked, and she kept pushing it out. Oh, Friday's not going to work. It's busy. Monday, Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And they keep pushing it out. And I'm telling you, this lady's a flake. She's not going to enroll. And it's funny because our clients had asked her a question at some point in the call. Have you ever invested in your own health? And she said no. But yet, this lady had invested tens of thousands of dollars in clothing because apparently she loves to shop, but she feels shitty about how she looks, so she doesn't even want to shop for herself anymore. But she'll, she's like, yeah, it's it's a tricky time of year. I gotta, it's Christmas. And I'm like, okay, cool. What you're doing here is you're putting the kids first. You're putting the presents under the trees first. And this whole conversation is bullshit until we get to the core of the issue, which is this is not a priority for you. When are you going to put you at the top of the list? You've been putting the kids and the family and Christmas first for years. Why not let this year be the ultimate Christmas for you? Why not you do the ultimate present for yourself? When have you put yourself first? Why don't we make that change now? So I love going after self-identity. I love helping people recognize that you're making a decision right now based on the previous version of you that got you into this situation right now. And that means nothing's going to change making a decision from there. What I want to know is, what does the future version of you tell you to do right now? What is the version of you who's lost the weight, who's in better shape than ever, who's eating well, who feels great in their clothing? What does that version of you say to you right now? Are they going to tell you to keep waiting and put the clothing first? And no, that's the old version of you that got you into this situation. And nothing's going to change if nothing changes. So where do you want to go from here? Because I'm not buying the stories. Okay. And listen, if you're ever in a call, again, I don't do sales calls anymore, but if I ever were in a call, I promise you, I will not buy the stories. And I encourage you to stand in your power and recognize that if you let people go, you let them down. And time kills all deals. If you have someone on the phone, they're like, I'm 99% in, that's closer to a no than it is to a yes. Because the only direction they're going after the call is they're at the heat of their ability to work with your desire, it's only going down. Their little head, their little reptilian brain, fear base is going to kick in. Spouse, small people in their lives, crabs in the bucket. Oh no, you shouldn't do that. It's like some random person on the internet. All this shit is just going to move them back into fear, and they're going to stay where they're comfortable, even if it's shit. So I see buying bullshit stories so common, and I want you to be able to call people in, not call them out, call them in, and challenge them from a place of love. Because this story they're telling you is a story that's keeping them small. It's a story that's keeping them sick and suffering. And the more you care about the prospect, the more you will enroll clients. He or she who cares most wins. Okay, but at the same time, he or she who cares or needs the sale least also wins. So you want to balance this conviction of I'm not going to give up on this person. I know I can change this person's life. But at the same time, it's listen, I don't give a shit. Okay, if you don't want to do this, that's your loss, not mine. And when you tell people you don't care about this if this even happens, the more you push people away, the more they're going to want you. It's the same thing in relationships and dating. No one likes the person who's a stage 5 clinger, who's sending a million texts. Want to go out with me? What happened? Did I do something wrong? It's repelling. You always have to maintain the upper hand in any relationship, because if you don't, they're going to walk all over you. Okay? People treat you the way you train them to treat you. And this is really important in your enrollment conversations. You have to maintain the doctor frame. Whether you're a doctor or any type of practitioner, you are the expert. They are not. You do not get into the friend zone. And this leads me to my 5th mistake, which is living in the friend zone. So many of you guys are trying to be nice instead of effective. But think of going to your doctor's office. Now, do most doctors have good bedside manner? Maybe, maybe not. But what they do have is authority. And when push comes to shove, everyone wants a trusted expert. They're like, just tell me what to do. I don't care if you're the nicest, friendliest person in the world, but just tell me what you know, tell me what to do, and you have to maintain that authoritative stance. not from a position of arrogance and ego and being condescending, but they have to know, the prospect has to know that they're in good hands, hands that have been here 1,000 times. And that's really, really important, because if you get too far into the friend zone and then you get to the close and then you start to really challenge the prospect, you're not going to have rapport and they're not going to really take you seriously. So the two most important areas of the call to establish with authority are the very start and the very end. So in the start, we're setting the agenda. Hey, so I've got you on the calendar for the next 45 minutes, right? You good for that? Perfect. So my intention today is to ask you a few questions. I want to get a sense of where you are, where you want to go, where are some of the challenges in your way. And once we have that in place, we can look at what a winning game plan would look like, right? Now, again, if you want to get there faster, I'm happy to talk about what that could look like if we were to work together, and only if we mutually felt that was a good direction to go. Is that fair? So what I'm doing right away is I'm taking leadership of the call and I'm setting the stage. And at the end of the conversation, I'm again doing the same thing. I'm getting into that authoritative mode and I'm saying, here's how this works. It's $1 million. You can pay in full upfront and save, or you can break it up into payment plans. Which of those feels best for you today? And then boom, okay? We just get into it. So get out of the friend zone. I'm gonna tell you, even on the coaching side, if you get into friend zone, and I've seen this even with our clients value expertise more than being nice. So if your clients are coming to you, they're looking for a solution. They're not going to their friends for a solution. And obviously, if they like you, that's great, but you don't have to be friendly to help people. Listen, if you're a client of mine or if you've been with me, trust me, on my coaching calls, I don't put up with any shit. Okay, if someone's unmuted, I'm like, dude, shut your fucking line up, okay? And some are like, whoa, dude. I'm like, no. My coaching is called level up coaching. I don't take any shit from anyone. If someone hasn't done the pre-work, if they're coming to my call and they're like, can you have a look at my numbers? I'm like, what do you want me to look at? They're like, oh, I just want to make sure you're on the right track. Cool. Have you reviewed the critical numbers training? Have you reviewed the conversion troubleshooting training? And they're like, well, kind of. I'm like, cool. Can you review those a couple more times so we're actually having the same conversation? Because otherwise we're just wasting everyone's time. And they might see me as like, you're just a dick. I'm not always like that, trust me, because I truly care about my clients and whatever. But I'm not going to be like, oh, tell me your sob story for an hour. Like, no, I don't care about the story. What are the facts? Here's what we're going to do. Perfect. Good. If I need context, if I need the story, I'll ask for it. Otherwise, just get to the question, be as specific as possible, and let me give you a solution. Okay? So that's the tone I maintain with my clients out of respect for everyone's time and my own energy, because I don't need the sob stories. I don't need the whole context. I've seen it a million times. I'm like, cool, I get it. Just show me the numbers. What are we going to do? Perfect. Let's do this. Good? So those are the 5 sales calls mistakes I typically see with health experts. It costs them millions of dollars, because if you don't get good at enrolling clients, you're not going to help anyone and you're not going to make a lot of money. Remember, the more money you make, it's simply a reflection of how many people's lives you're changing. So if you're not making a lot of money, you think you might be doing more than you are. Let's not be delusional, right? Like, free information and posting stuff on social media is not doing anything for anyone. Having a book that no one buys is not helping anyone. The only time you're truly transforming lives is when people pay you money and actually follow your advice. And if your bank account is not reflective of that, then you have to get better at selling. And this is one of the most important skills that we help our clients with. So if you want more help on this, you can certainly reach out to us. We also have other videos on this channel to help you become more effective, not only as a health professional, but improving your selling skills so you can help more people. If you've enjoyed this video, subscribe today, and I'll see you in the next one. If you look behind me, there's a whole family of whales that have joined us this morning at sunrise for this video. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to create your dream life in 3 simple steps.